So my name's Josh Anderson. I'm currently the assistant principal at Universal Autumn Reed Charter High School. We're the only charter in the state of Pennsylvania that offers approved career and technical education. That is not what I'm presenting on today. If you want to have a conversation about charters and all that, we can do that in private. What I'm going to talk about is the program of study and our way of tracking the data. One for NOCTI improvement, and two for those SOAR credits and the program of study tasks, because for us, we started off with these questions. I went into leadership about 3 years ago at the school. I served as what we called the STEM Academy lead. I also was the NOCTI test coordinator, so I started really looking at the NOCTI data and realizing that we had to really examine it more closely. So we started kind of with these non-negotiables is what we would call them, right? But that all data is accessible, so that every stakeholder, that means students, the instructors, administrators, our OAC partners, Pennsylvania Department of Education, parents, and industry partners have access to our data. That means they know what we're teaching, how well we're teaching it, across the board, right? Parents, kids, teachers. All of our instruction and assessment is aligned to the POS. So as I was doing my formal observations of CTE teachers and looking at their lesson plans and watching what they were doing, I was seeing that they were teaching a lot of really, really great, cool stuff, but it wasn't in the POS. It didn't have anything really to do with what the POS was. And then students weren't finding success on the NOCTI, they were getting frustrated, and there was this disconnect, right? So teachers were kind of going in saying, I'm the culinary teacher, I teach them culinary. Whatever I know about culinary I teach, and it wasn't aligning with what we wanted. So we sort of changed our mindset to this growth mindset with constant improvement, being focused on students' attainment of knowledge and skills, right? It wasn't did your lesson go well, it wasn't does your classroom look good, it wasn't how does the car run after the kids are done fixing it, it was what skills did they attain, do those skills align to the POS programs of study, right? And are they leading them to college and career? Focused again on students, right? How do our students know and understand their own growth? How do they see from the day they walk in the door what they didn't know to what they attain? And trying to find a way to make teachers' jobs more manageable, meaningful, and rewarding, right? It's a rough job. I was a teacher. I taught social studies for 6 years, so I understand the classroom. We're in an urban environment, which has its own set of challenges. So these are kind of the guiding questions that pushed us towards what I'll present on and the things that we discovered. So I guess a little bit about who we are. Like I said, we're the only charter school in Pennsylvania. We're what they call a comprehensive high school, which is a lot different than a CTC. We offer academic programs as well as career and technical education. We're also a neighborhood school. So right about here is City Hall. Right about here is the Philly Stadium. And this is the Schuylkill River where University of Pennsylvania is. Tucked in there is a neighborhood known as Grays Ferry and Point Breeze. Any student who lives within that area comes to our school. So there's no special enrollment. There's no, if you live in that, you're immediately allowed to enter into our school. We also do citywide, so students apply from all over the city, but for the majority, about 50% of our kids come directly out of this neighborhood here. So we're a little bit different than a CTC. We don't have any enrollment stipulations other than where you live and that you fill out the application. So we take everybody. We're about 43% special education. Again, we're Title I, which means every single one of our kids qualifies for free and reduced price lunch. And like I said, citywide. Again, my conversation is not necessarily about the challenge of being in an urban school. I would be happy to tell you about that later. I want to talk about our data tracking and how that looks. So we began to look at processes, ways to figure out this program of study task and align our data to it. So I started kind of trying to figure it out myself. So we have a health-related technologies, automotive, pre-engineering, culinary arts, and a communications technologies program. Here's our kids. Again, I guess I should mention this. We're in about our 7th year of operations. So we only have had completers for about 3-4 years, right? We went through the challenges of growth of starting a brand new program, having seniors in electrical or in culinary arts that had never taken it before. So it was kind of a challenging 5 years. I think we're in a pretty good place, or we're growing now. So if we look at our data in 14, 15, 3 years ago, first year we had legitimate completers, 0% of our kids passed the test at all. So then I started working with the teachers. We really started to look at the data, go there. We made some major growth 10 were advanced, and 24 were competent, which was about 25% of our students. And then we did the same thing again in 2017. We have 15 advanced already, and 30 are competent, which for us is about 40%. If we can keep doubling our numbers every year, we should be pretty good. I'm proud of these numbers for a school like ours to be where we're at. We've really made a massive amount of growth in 3 years. So one of the things that really drove us to that was this. So I looked at the programs of study as the administrator, and I said, we have to figure out what we're teaching 10th graders, what are we teaching 11th graders, and what are we reviewing through. So we broke the task list. We took every single task list, we sat down, we broke them apart. What skills will be taught? How will we align those to the projects? How do we keep the Common Core in there? And then the school year started. And we kind of stopped doing that because everybody was teaching, it was busy. So we kind of had to find something that was a little bit easier or more user-friendly than actually writing 3 years of curriculum while teaching it, right? I know I had a principal that I used to work with that always talked about how Auden Reed is like building a plane while we're flying it. So we've kind of been doing that, and it's really a difficult thing to get into that curriculum writing while you're also trying to teach 3 different sections of kids. It just wasn't happening, right? So how do we find something? And we stumbled upon a program that's called Mastery Connect, which is basically changed the way our instruction is assessed across the board. So it's kind of the focus of my presentation from now on. I would encourage you to ask questions. Let me stop. I have some set slides, and then I have some teachers and kids that actually asked if I could show you the live side of it. So I'll be happy to really dig into it and show you how it works. If you give me a couple minutes, I'll explain it. So Mastery Connect is a data system. These are the things that I, as an administrator, love about Mastery Connect. One, it syncs with our student information system every 24 hours. We use PowerSchool. So a kid enrolls in your class, they show up on your roll, next day, they're in Mastery Connect. So you don't have to switch them over, you don't have to change them, they're immediately on your class, right? They also have every single program of study task lists, every item, already uploaded into their system. So you teach 15-99999, you can immediately access the program of study task list. You teach whatever, Doc, give me another one that we have. I don't know the SIPs like you do.
5108.
Yeah, we have 50, no, we do 51-9999999. All of them are in there. Every single program of study task is in there.
120508.
There you go, 120508, we have that one. The thing that I'm hoping to get out of this presentation is the possibility that there's a community of data, right? The reason I know 15-99999 is because there's 2 people other than my engineering teacher in the nation, in the state, that use Mastery Connect that teach 15-99999. So if one teacher puts up a test that's aligned to the program of study, my teacher can upload it, use it, and push it to his kids without any work at all necessarily, right? I know that a lot of you guys that have been around have known this Todd Luke fellow that analyzes NOCTI data. He's always talking about it. If the best automotive teacher put his assessments on Mastery Connect, I could mandate my automotive teacher, who sometimes struggles with assessment, to use those assessments, right? And I'll show you how that would work. It also allows for tests, like formative assessments, paper, pencil, as well as performance. You can put rubrics in there that are aligned to the program of study task list. So this is how it looks. So on the administrative level, it's amazing. I know these are small, but I can get data analysis across the building. So we started mandating what we call common assessments. They're quarterly assessments. If you've taught this task in your class, you need to have questions that the students are exposed to so that, 1, they pass the NOCTI, and 2, we have data that shows they are proficient. I know this came up in the last presentation, right? But for them to qualify for those SOAR credits, teacher has to sign off that they are proficient on 100% of those tasks. I want my teachers to be able to say that there's proof that they are, not just their signature, but there's actual physical numbers proof. So you can see it breaks down advanced, proficient, basic, below basic, and no score. You can kind of see, I know it's not the easiest thing to see, but this is Miss Tina Matzek. She teaches in communication technology and is transitioning to graphic design. But you can see all of her kids, and then if this was live, you could click on this and see what program of study task item this is. You could highlight this and see which kids scored advanced, which kids scored basic, which kids scored proficient. So that's just on the administrative level. So I have 2 culinary teachers. I can see all of my culinary kids. I can see Mr. Bennett's kids. I can see Miss Boyer Graves' kids, right? So then again, I can sort of look at it and say, well, why did all of Bennett's kids get advanced on this task and all of Boyer Graves get basic? Where's the discrepancy of what they're teaching and the actual instruction going on in the classroom? It also gives me an item analysis, which again, I could show you, but you can go through. You can see the task list, right? ComTech 1305, 1303, 1109, and on the live side, if I highlight over that, I can actually see what that task is, right? So identify basic Microsoft Word functions. Is that, if the kids all get it, they get it. If they don't, we can reteach it. Any questions as that administrative level?
That's already populated in there, Josh?
As soon as they take a test, yes, it creates it for you.
But all the POS tasks.
All the POS tasks are already in there.
Wow.
All they do is, so I'll show you in a second, but they create what's called a curriculum map. I create the curriculum maps. I go onto the curriculum map and I pull up 519999999. I call it health-related technologies. I create the curriculum map. It's got every single task item, and then the teachers cannot put an assessment up there without aligning it to a specific program of study task.
You were saying you can go in there and use somebody else's curriculum.
Yes, sir. If they're on there, sure.
Because I'm a new teacher, this is my first year as a collision instructor, and the program was failing up to this point, so I'm implementing a lot of new changes to get it up and running. But this stuff is all like foreign language to me for the most part.
Understood. I've done a lot of.
So I'm wondering, I guess
It
one
won't
of my
come out of
questions-
water for 3 years.
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, you got to speed to try to even keep up, but I mean, it's like, but can this system be implemented independently? Like, can I use this just for my course, or does it have to be the school take this?
So there's pricing on it's different. For us, it costs about $3,000 a year. We have about 700 kids in our school, so it's pretty affordable for most schools to.
So we have, I mean, I'll interrupt you, but we have we have an ICAR standard for collision, and it has its own curriculum. It's an excellent curriculum, so I probably wouldn't want to veer away from it. I'll probably end up just trying to line it up with the task list.
Right, so this is not a curriculum. This is simply a test platform. So
Okay,
it's
it's
a
just
data
evaluating.
tracking. It's just evaluating. So like I said, you can see that this is the task list, right? It gets all these implement a safety plan, do this. These are their tasks, right? So a teacher would go in, and it'll get to that in a second, but just stay with me. So a teacher would go in, you make a test, right? I mandate that my teachers align every single question with a specific task item. So there are no random questions. They put it actually on the assessment. So the kids know this is going to task 101, which is implement a safety plan. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So they put 3 of those questions on there. The teacher then goes in and makes the answer key. With the answer key, it's aligned to the program of study task. And then you could say, so your collision, right? I don't know what any of their tasks are, but I know one of them is safety, right? So you have fire safety. Got me? You teach fire safety. You do the whole fire extinguisher, whatever. After you teach it, you sit down with your kids and give them a 20-question test on fire safety. With Mastery Connect, you could immediately see which kids got all 20 questions right and scored advanced, so then you can say, I taught you how to use a fire extinguisher. You came in, you didn't know, now I know for a fact you know, right? One of your kids gets them all wrong. That affords you the opportunity to pull him aside and say, remember how you weren't really paying attention when I taught fire safety? Well, now I have proof that you weren't. So while everybody else does something different, we're going to review fire safety because I need to know that you know how to do it. Is that sort of the move that we're trying to make? So the homepage looks like this. The teachers can see what percentage of their standards have been assessed so far this year. So Ms. Matzak, again, her graphic design course, which is aligned to 103999999, she's assessed about 14% of her standards so far this year. She's got 4, that big blue is advanced. This is proficient, this is basic. Now, Ms. Matzak just gave her common assessment today, which is awesome because I could log on and see her upload the common assessment and then watch her kids scoring, right? She'll sit down sometime this weekend or in the week, look at these standards, and that's what she reteaches because they got this. And if they got this, there's no reason wasting their time doing it. There's more than enough stuff to do, but the stuff that they scored basic on, they need to be retaught it. What's up?
So two quick questions. So the common assessments that you're doing, they're online. So kids sit in front of a computer and do them, or the teacher does a thing and uploads the answer, or what?
So it's either way.
Okay.
Mastery Connect provides you with bubble sheets that the camera on your Mac will grade,
Oh.
or they can push the assessment to kids and it looks exactly like the Nocti platform, multiple choice, they take it on the computer. So that depends on the teacher.
My second question is about performance.
Mhm.
So it's one thing, just like with Nocti, you can know the content and score well sitting at a computer answering questions, but the actual performance of the task is a different thing. So you may have a fact where a kid knows the theory behind it, but can't do it. So is there an allowance in Mastery Connect that you can indicate performance of tasks as well, or is that something different?
So we're growing to that. Honestly,
Okay.
this is the second year that we've used it.
Okay.
And just like anyone who's administered things, I have some teachers that just took it and ran with it last year. I still have teachers this year who I'm helping along. We also have 2 new teachers.
We grade on 3 levels. It's work ethic, task, and then
Performance.
knowledge.
Right.
Well, task would be performance out in the shop, and then we have a knowledge grade. So
So
there's
there-
3.
Okay.
There is the possibility to use rubrics in here, but you have to put them in by hand. So it's a lot
Gotcha.
more time consuming, but you can certainly create a 5 rubric standard of 5 different tasks that you want them to be able to display, and then grade them advanced, proficient, basic, below basic. Now, the differentiation, I couldn't comment on necessarily, like whether you can say this is a performance task and this is a advanced. That would be something that would come from the curriculum map. So you could build it like that, but we're not at that level yet. Yes,
Can
ma'am.
it do short answer and open-ended? or-
Yes, it can, same thing, but the
Okay.
teacher has to go in
Yeah.
and input the grade. So you give a short answer, you can put in there it was advanced, proficient.
Okay.
So they have a tracker that looks just like this. This is the test, this is the kid's grade on the test, and then this is what they scored on each specific item. You can see up here the numbers. Ms. Batzak had 16 questions on 305. She had 1 so far on 306, 1, and that reflects on what they got. So as you build data, it changes. The neat thing is the data is archived. In a 3-year program, last year's data flipped over to this year. So kids that were in Communications Technology 1, their data flips to Communications Technology 2 automatically. As soon as the teacher turns on the tracker, what you did last year is with you. And again, it'll do it again in our 3rd year of implementation. The goal being that when a kid leaves, you should be able to, as a teacher, say, they've proven that they're advanced or proficient in everything because I've assessed it. Not me just signing off, and I'm not saying that that's the worst way to go, right? But students should be able to know and understand their score on every single program of study task.
So that's what we use, Classmate right now, I think, is the program we're using.
Mhm.
It's similar to this, but I haven't, either they don't have it or nobody's taught me yet, but I have no way to break into it and evaluate everyone. It's kind of like, I don't know that till the very end, and I have to go get with somebody to give me the
Right.
final result.
So I just wanted to show you, you can see all these with the little flat, that means they're old. So they're last year's data, but it's still there. So as a teacher looking over the summer or whatever you're doing, my culinary instructor could look at this and say that this kid was below basic in International Food Workers Standard 301. If they hover over top of it, it literally just pops up the standard. So 206 is list reasons for the signs of food spoilage. You can look down the list and see who got it wrong, who got it right, and that's from a year ago. So then as you reassess it, it'll change their mastery level. Yes, ma'am?
So Power School, when we use it, we have to store historical grades June
Mhm.
30, and that's been an issue for tracking. So I'm confused about how they would talk to each other and make sure that this archive data doesn't get lost when we store grades in Power School.
It's not based on the student's grade, it's based on their performance on specific tasks. So it latches onto the student's PPID number, not their final grade in the course, if that makes sense. So it's not, what you have to do is create a dummy account in your Power School administrator that allows it to extract certain amounts of data. So it extracts the student's PPID number, their class list. Now we use this across the building, so the cool thing is we're comprehensive. So like the English teachers have English standards that the kids have been tested on for 3 years, preparing them for Keystones. So they do the same thing. I can't necessarily explain to you how it extracts it, but I know it doesn't have anything to do with the final grade. What it pulls is the kids' names, and if they're enrolled in the course is linked. So because of our course numbers, they can tell that our like the course code links to the course code, and it puts them in there.
Like you talked, I'm guessing that it's archived in Mastery Connect,
Mhm.
and then it'll just feed back. to
Exactly.
PowerSchool.
Somehow-
So when you store PowerSchool, you're not losing.
Exactly,
Mastery
you're not
Connect.
losing power, and the neat thing is it syncs with PowerSchool as well. So if you give a test, you click sync with PowerSchool, and it puts the grades from Mastery Connect right into your gradebook in PowerSchool.
Is that the only one that works with?
It's the only one that I've had it work with. So the company that links our stuff is called Clever. I assume that they would work with other student information systems. I just know that when we examined it, we were already using PowerSchool. I'm the PowerSchool, like I run it at my school. So they said, what student information system do you use? We use PowerSchool. I know it connects really easily with PowerSchool. I can't
So
speak
it's
to other
another
ones.
vendor that actually does the patching.
Yes, there's like a third-party vendor that I run that actually creates the bridge between PowerSchool and Mastery Connect.
Do you know, like, when the new tax bridge come out, do they?
Update?
As soon as, like, they come out?
They've been really responsive. So like institutional food worker was for some reason missing 2 standards. My teachers caught it, and I called Mastery Connect, and by the time I got off the phone with them, they were like, that's not a problem. It never was a problem. And I'm like, oh, you're right. It's not a problem anymore. So they're pretty quick with fixing it. So I can show you kind of anything you want. I have about 20 minutes left. I'm open to, I can show you how to upload, a teacher would upload an assignment. I can show you what it looks like for a kid. I have quite a few. I asked bunches of kids to sign off, so I'm happy to show you because it's kind of like boring to just watch PowerPoints. I can show you the live Mastery Connect on our side.
Josh, the in-servicing on this, does it take a lot of in-service time to get the teachers up to speed on using this system?
Like I said, it depends entirely on your staff. So here, I'll show you. This is Miss Carr. She started this year. She's already assessed 21% of the standards on 5199999, mostly because Miss Caraglan has really helped her out. This is Miss Matsack. Miss Matsack has her due now from this morning, day 3, up already graded. It's aligned to 313, 403, and 605. So, I mean, it's like, I don't know, there's like that breakdown, right? You have 33% early adopters, 33% will do it because you asked them to do it, 33% will, I'm not going to act like that guy, Whitfield, but they're the whiners that just aren't going to do it. So then you have to sit with them and really push them along. A lot of the teachers fought this in the beginning. Once they get used to it, they realize they don't have to grade anymore. They don't have to analyze their data anymore. No one can come at them and ask them what they're teaching, right? Like there's a lot of benefits for teachers once they get over the basics of figuring out how to use it. I mean, once they figure out that, hold on, I just give the kids a computer, the kids take the test, and the test is graded for me, and it's item analyzed for me, and I can know what I taught and what I didn't teach, and they see that one time, then there's a lot more buy-in.
So is there a way to link this work to Nocti, pre-Nocti, and the full Nocti?
You mean the data, or?
Yeah.
Not necessarily, other than the program and study task. So our thing has been, if you're teaching 100% of the task, and the kids are all scoring advanced on there, they should score advanced on the Nocti. If they don't, then there's some
Have you
disconnect
locally validated that?
rigor. The only way I can validate it really is by saying when we started using this program, 0% of the kids were passing the Nocti, 25% passed last year, and we're already at 37% free. So like, the proof's in the pudding, I guess you could say.
Josh, I don't want to jump ahead of question, but how does the data look, we've already done pre-Nocti,
Right.
and how does it look compared to last year?
Like I said, we ended the year with 25% passing the post-test last year. This year, 37 already passed the pre-test. So it's showing growth. Let me show you. It looks like this for a kid. So the kids are very clear on what they have. This is Medea Clyett. She told me that I could show you this, but made me swear that I do not show you her AP Mastery Connect. But she can see what she got right on it. And the sweet thing is she can click on it. Hopefully it didn't disconnect me from the internet. Or put her up. No, it's good. She should be able to click right on there, which is not going to let me do. Let me see if I can refresh it. So she can click on it and literally see the assessments that the questions were on that she took that were there. Uh-oh, classroom access was denied. Log me out. So she can click on it and see the actual kids. Let me log back in real
So the
quick.
school uses this for all of its classes then?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, to track for all of it?
Yes, ma'am. So it's a mandate that the math, science, social studies use it every single, for common assessments. Again, there's some early adopters that use it for their do-nows, they use it for their exit tickets, they use it for every test they've ever given. Some teachers don't like it as much as others. Any other questions or things you guys would like to?
So how many people do you think, like, for each task or for each program of study, like, how many users are using? Like, I teach early childhood.
For,
Childhood stuff in there, or is there a way to see how many different teachers from each program of study? I guess that's one question.
I'll be honest, in Pennsylvania, I think we're the island. We're the only ones that use it. I would love to see more teachers use it. Like I said, my engineering teacher found two guys that he's been using their stuff for. For the regular core contents, it's thousands and thousands. So that's kind of where I'm at, of like, we've used this, it's worked really well for us. If other people start using it, then it becomes a collaborative.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah, I
so
wondered if it was more collaborative or if it's just kind of.
it hasn't been because no one else uses it yet, or hasn't begun. Yes, sir.
Do you have an idea of how you are going to implement the performance side of the task grid? The reason I ask, I just sat in on a program study revision. We took 31 tasks out of our task grid for precision machining, and we were also asked to take out words that say explain, things of this kind of text. They want you to be able to prove a kid can do a task, not explain how the task is done. So in the testing that I see here, we're explaining for advanced, but we're not proving that the kid can actually do the task at an advanced level. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts were, and thinking ahead in challenging your teachers, how are you going to implement the prove side of the task grid?
So I know that my English coach and my math coach are really good at building these curriculum maps, is what they're called, and you can add substandards. So the way we've talked about it is adding a substandard, right? So you have your whatever your task is, right? You could add a substandard that would be performance, and then that's how you would assess the performance part of that. Exactly, for that. Because really, for most tasks, and machining might be a little bit different, many of them, there's not that much that could really be performance, if that makes sense, especially if you're looking at preparing for the NOCTI test. Like, there's 5 or 6 tasks that you need to make sure they are. So if you align those tasks with the program of study task items, make those performance standards, build rubrics for those, then you're just assessing those. Is that?
But when in a CTC, like in auto body, there's a ton of performance there. Auto tech, there's a ton of performance.
Yeah, there's a lot. So like I said, it would simply be taking the curriculum map, which is basically just the POS list, and add a substandard. And you could have substandards that were performance, substandards that were written, right? It would be very easy for administration to build that. And that way you could differentiate. You'd have 2 of the same numbers, one being performance, one being written. So then you know the kid does really well written, not so well performance, if that makes sense.
What is the cost based on? Is it number of users?
Yeah, it's number of users. So like I said, I think we have 4,000 users is the package that we got. And it was around $3,500. So it's not. Yep, it's yearly.
So this would work alongside of, I mean, have you heard of Classmate?
I haven't, and I'll be honest, this is where I'm not trying to push this platform. As a school, we're done with platforms. We got Study Island, we have Mastery Connect, we use PowerSchool, we have Google Classroom, and right now, we're going to become the masters of those 5 platforms, because you can buy it, everybody will come and tell you, they got a platform for everything. There's platforms that'll print out bathroom passes for kids using their eye retina reading,
But I
if
was
you really
wondering
want to buy that,
If this
they
program
got
would
it.
work alongside of it, like, does this program work alongside which?
Again, I think that would be you'd have to call the Mastery reps and ask them. I know that they're all over the country, so they are getting more and more that, right? So they're pretty quick. They want to help you out. So let me just show you Tyson so you see what he did. This is what he did last year in Comtech, so he can go back. And he could see, when he pulls this down, he can see the literal tests. It'll pull it up. And he can see what questions he got wrong on that test from last year that made him below basic on that standard. So he really had, again, our thing was how do the kids know where they're at? So that he can come down and say, what 3 did I get wrong in leadership and accountability, creative thinking? Why did I get those wrong? So again, how teachers communicate that to students becomes really easy because they can get it on their phone. They get it every time they log into Mastery Connect to take tests. And in many of the classrooms, they're doing it daily. So they can see their performance go up. How many tasks have I mastered? How many have I not? It really has helped our teachers with reteaching. So that when they're saying, we need to review this because it's not, we need to review this because I don't think you learned it well. It's we need to review this because 40% of you scored below basic on the 6 questions I just gave you on the common assessment. It's really changed the culture in our building. We're a very different building than probably most buildings in the state. But we used to have to really beg, plead, give candy bars for kids to just take the NOCTI test. Now I have 97% participation in the pre-test without anybody arguing or having a problem with it because they're really starting to understand that connection between what we're doing in the classroom year after year to what I do on the NOCTI test. And they can kind of go back, and it's really fun to see the kids come back and say, you never taught me this. And then the teacher say, go into Mastery Connect, look it up, I assessed it 4 different times.
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So I know she, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, I don't mean to use she, asked if the tests were updated automatically, right?
Mhm.
So you could feasibly have a kid that's in a program or a teacher that's teaching a program where they're working off of 2 different task lists based on graduation year. So the tasks may be different. Now, so are they loaded according to that in Mastery Connect or?
That's a question that I don't know. I know that we had to get the ComTech one updated last year because they switched it.
Right.
But we've never had a program like institutional food. I'll tell you about how that goes because they're updating that POS this year. And we'll see how that flips over once it is, right? So next year, my 11th graders who will be 12th graders, what will happen to the tasks that they remove? That I don't see Mastery Connect struggling with figuring out how to keep that going.
Josh, do your kids use learning guides, or is everything on Mastery Connect?
We still use the study guides,
Okay.
not necessarily like a learning guide per se. The Mastery Connect, like I said, it depends on the teacher.
Right.
Some teachers use it daily, some just use it for those common assessments. The ones that use it for the common assessments are much more into the learning guide project, these are your things, and then they have like a large assessment. The teachers who use Mastery Connect daily, I don't really require them to because a lot of times they're doing a do now that's stuff they learned, tasks they covered yesterday, exit tickets, the tasks they covered today, and then they do it again. So they're like assessing each task 3 or 4 times as they move through their day.
Right. So just using this as a task tracker, this program would probably be overkill, just as a task tracker. Because it has so much
It's
more.
so much more than a task tracker, but I guess for me, as we grow as a school, I want my kids to qualify for SOAR credits, but I want to know they qualified for SOAR credits. I don't want to have to think at night, well, maybe that teacher just really liked that kid and said they were proficient in all of the tasks, because the NOCTI doesn't assess all of the tasks necessarily, right? So scoring advanced on the NOCTI is great, but you might just be a really, really good test taker. We, as we grow in Philadelphia, are very concerned because like CCP, the community college there that would accept a lot of our SOAR credits, never has before. So they will be acutely aware of the kids that apply and use SOAR credits, and I need to be able to say, no, we didn't sign off on this. I can show you the assessment that I gave them 15 times on every task, right? Because as it's growing, I can access this stuff. So I can pull up a kid and I can see if their task list is completely filled, if they scored proficient or advanced in everything, and I can see the number of questions that they were given. Does that make sense? So like, even if it's just one question, well, that's not enough. We need to be assessing more than once. What's up?
Does this just work for tests? Like, I teach auto collision refinishing.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to rate a kid when they take a part off and put another part back on. And there's a rubric which they have to follow. And that lines up with my task list, because that's an actual task that they're doing hands-on.
Yep. So you can totally upload rubrics in here. I will be completely honest. I spent 2 years making sure that we get the written side of it. The performance side is completely possible. I've watched the movies and the trainings and done the PDs on how to do it, but I can't show you right here because I've just never done it. We aren't there yet as a school. This is our second year. We've already talked about how next summer, our goal is for those weeks before school starts, we're learning as a staff how to put performance tests in there, but it certainly has the capability of you putting a rubric aligned to tasks in there and uploading the students' scores. So it certainly can do both, which is kind of where this question came from, of can we differentiate, and I'm 99% sure you could, so that you could have a kid's written score and the performance score.
But the teacher's still gonna have to input that.
The rubrics, as far as I know, yes. Unless you want to go around that and make the kid fill out a bubble sheet based on the rubric you give them, right? There's ways around those kinds of things.
But the good news is, with just
Suggestion.
one time, you're gonna enter it in the grade book anyway.
Right.
So if you entered it here, at least you have the complete record, and then it's gonna move over to grade book.
Does it populate that?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it'll populate it right over the grade book. You assign the grade, you assign the amount of points for each task that would be on there. So you could go in there and say, this part of the rubric's worth 5 points, this is worth 2 points, this is worth 3 points. And then whatever grade you gave them, it'll calculate the percentage and just go right into your grade book.
For the POS.
Yes, right into Power Teacher Grade Book was where it would head. So I'm good, just so that it's not all boring. These are our kids.
If you study hard and try your best, it's guaranteed you'll pass the test. In CTE, you're not alone, so take the stone and hear our song. Rock the Nocti, rock the Nocti, rock the Nocti. Rock the Nocti, NOCTI is a standardized test made in 1966. That's when CTE was blessed. Give us the opportunity to earn a certificate. Keep students out of trouble and stop all the belligerence. What is CTE? CTE is career technical education. It helps you connect with the outside world. It also helps you gain key skills to get a job after graduation. Oh, okay.
These are 10th graders.
CTE, skills and knowledge, helps you succeed in high school and college. Passing the NOCTI is a big deal if you want to join the technology field. You can be what you want, from photographer, videographer, producer. A producer. Wow. The health tech for you are sure to succeed at making less than 40 grand. You can be a dentist or nurse. CTE, make sure you can wear comfort. So it's important that pass the NOCTI so you get to the path just like me. So you can take the path just like us. So you can take the path just like we. Passing the NOCTI, you're a step ahead to become a chef. In culinary, you learn a lot like special measures, tools, and more. All the class will help you rock the NOCTI. Rock the NOCTI? Rock the NOCTI. Study hard and try your best. It's guaranteed you'll pass the test. In CTE, you're not alone, so take the stone and hear our song. Rock the NOCTI. Rock the NOCTI. Rock the NOCTI. Rock the NOCTI. Congratulations, you rocked the NOCTI. I did it.
So I'm done. Have a good day. Thanks for coming.